Tom, what are you looking for? What are you looking to get out of this competition?
A little bit of experience for some of the young boys. But obviously, there's guys who are in the squad who, in the senior squad, who haven't had a lot of game time, so it's an opportunity for them to stake their claim, in for Pro 12 and European positions as well. So, opportunity for them to put their hands up, but also some good opportunity for some youngsters and some Prem players to have some exposure at this level.
What kind of side will you be playing at? It'll be a mix and match side, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixture of academy players, a few senior players, and we've got a couple of Premiership players. So it's not far off. The sides that we've been putting together for our British and Irish Cup games. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Which academy players have you got in mind?
We've got Will Jones, James Ratty in the pack, and there's a couple of names in the backs as well. Ruben Morgan Williams, Matthew Aubrey, Phil Jones, and youngster Kai Evans as well in the squad. So that's just to name a few. There's we've drafted in most of our senior academy into train as a group, and they're all up with the shot for selection.
Can you see any sort of particularly bright prospects bubbling under the Ospreys now?
Yeah, there's more than a few. We've seen a couple put their hands up last year in the British and Irish Cup sides, and Wales under 20s as well. So there's definitely strong prospects for the future, and we're really excited about that.
What is Kai like as a player?
He's incredibly diligent. He learns really well. Athletically, he's fairly gifted. He's got a good frame on him, and a good peg. Good peg to boot. So definitely one for the future. And not just his kicking game, his passing game is up there with some of the senior players.
What is halfback partner at under 18s? He's not quite ready, is he? Or he's slightly below the others in the pecking order? I mean, he's only 17, isn't he?
Harry Morgan.
Yeah.
Again, he's been in and around the group to train. He's in the mix for selection. You might think a young 17-year-old, wouldn't quite cope with maybe the physicality, but actually as a player, he's probably one of the most physical backs that we do have, and he's not shy of putting himself in those positions and make some good shots. So he's definitely in the mix, and hopefully over the course of the two Anglo-Welsh fixtures, we'll get to see a little bit of him.
I know these are young boys, but do you see them having the potential perhaps to offer you a degree of cover when Reece leaves?
I think so. I think we have to. Where we maybe are as a region, not just looking as cover maybe because we can't get anyone else in, but also what we've been trying to create here at the Ospreys. Trying to develop from within, and if we've got a player who is as good as anyone else out there, why go searching for someone when we can develop our own talent? And a couple of those names that I've mentioned are definitely of that ilk.
Can you see any sort of forward ball carriers coming through?
Mentioned James Ratty. He's second row, but he's a good ball carrier. We've seen Morgan Morris in Swansea this season. He's maybe a little bit smaller of stature as a number 8, but if you watch some of his games, he just seems to make yards, and that's the game. One of the principles of attack is gain line and going forward, and he will give you that.
Is the message from you really, to look at the example of players like Justin Tipperick, perhaps Ashley Beck, who did well in this tournament at a young age?
Yeah, of course. We always want our young players in our academy to try and emulate some of the local talent that have gone on to bigger and better things, you know, not just within the region but internationally as well. So we always make it clear that, you know, there is that pathway there, and we pride ourselves on, you know, on that pathway and being able to develop, you know, our young talent within our region. So, you know, we're definitely sort of looking for boys to step up and follow in some of those guys' footsteps.
And it's a great chance for someone like Rory to launch his comeback, basically, and make sure he goes and gets another cap to go with the one that he won in the summer, perhaps in the medium term. Yeah,
you know, twofold for Rory. One, getting back and getting fit and getting some game time under his belt to, you know, then challenge for, you know, firstly a position within the Ospreys, and I think that's got to be his aim, is to challenge for a starting position back in that you know, Ospreys pack, but then also to, you know, bring on his leadership qualities. You know, he was great for us last year as a line-out leader, but to keep developing those leadership qualities and, you know, start leading in that young pack, and hopefully the youngsters will follow.
We take it from that Rory's going to captain the Ospreys this week?
No, not as clear as that, but he's definitely one of our leaders. You know, we won't just pin it on one guy. You know, we won't leave it to just one person, but he'll definitely be one of the leaders, you know, in that side.
Would you expect any of the guys who may not be that familiar to the wider public or whatever to actually make it into the Ospreys team by the end of this season, or do you think this is more a stepping stone for them for the future beyond that?
You never know. You know, things change week to week. You've seen the injuries that we've picked up in the last couple of weeks and over the last month, and there's a lot of luck in rugby and in sport, and, you know, things can change really quickly, and I definitely see, you know, potential in the boys who are in that squad, and, you know, hopefully if something arises, you know, they can step up to that. And you never know in professional sport. Your opportunity comes along, and you've got to be in the best position to take it.
How does Rory compare, you know, with the likes of Ian Evans, Alan Wynne, Ian Goff at a young age?
You don't get, you know, firstly, you don't get many blokes the size of Rory Thornton. So, you know, and a couple of those names there, you know, they're in the same sort of dappers in. As a line-out forward, he's excellent. He controls the line-out, you know, as well as being a good jumper and a good option himself. He's definitely maturing into that role. I think he'd probably agree, you know, maybe it's some of the work and the physicality around the park that he needs then to add to maybe the subtleties that he has got, because, you know, he's got some really, you know, silky ball handling skills, so maybe it's a little bit of the grunt that he needs to add to that, you know, and which he's improving at. And, you know, those guys that you mentioned at the same age, they weren't the finished article, and that's probably something that does come with maturity and develops over time as well.
How do you acquire that sort of grunt, shall we say? You know, is it an exercise of going in the gym, or
I think the biggest
physical development,
but I think it's time in the saddle as well, and it just comes from maturity, playing games, and just, you know, getting older and, you know, getting more time in the saddle, like I said.
Good. You mentioned injuries a short while back, and obviously injury affected you in your career. Can you see anything that would help solve this huge number of injuries that seems to be happening in rugby? Actually, it's almost like it's just got worse professional end of the sport.
I would like to say, you know, rugby is getting more and more physical as it's becoming more professional, and I wouldn't want the game to change. You know, I wouldn't, and I think that's just something that the game has evolved. And yes, the collisions are bigger, the collisions are tougher, and, you know, as a you know, offset from that, then injuries, you know, become more frequent. Look at the injuries that we've had over the last couple of weeks, and you look at them, and they're not really put down to any one particular instance or type of injury or type of, you know, part of the game. They just seem to be completely random, and actually sometimes those random those random hits and getting hit offline, and they're where sometimes the worst injuries occur. You know, look at Dan's ball over the top of the line now, gets hit, you know, 50-50 in the air, but it's just an innocuous one. Keelan's one down the wing, 50-50 ball. You can't predict those. So how do you stop them? It's very hard to say.
I know even if you come back and tempt yourself and it kind of broke down, was that just cumulative effect?
I think that they're acute injuries, and you know there's nothing you can do to stop them. I think the chronic injuries and the overload injuries, maybe there's something that we can do there in terms of prehab, making guys more more robust. But actually we're already doing that. The physio department here is great, along with the S&C department, and you know, it's not just about rebuilding guys after they've been injured. It's building them up so that they're not prone to injury. So we're already looking into that and already doing it. So it's hard to put your finger on if there is anything that you can change without changing the game. And personally, I certainly wouldn't want to change the sport. It is what it is, and that's the game.